Have you ever watched a lie walk into a school like it owns the bell schedule, and then watched the bell schedule eat it alive? Beat. The morning light came slanting through Jefferson High's east windows, turning dust into slow constellations over a river of teenagers. Backpacks thudded. Lockers coughed metal. In the middle of it, Amara Hayes, AP Civics, debate, 2 sons, steady spine, balanced a stack of quizzes on her hip and a thermos of peppermint tea in her left hand. She did not know that Hand would wear a steel bracelet before 3rd period. She did know one other thing. The hallway microphones she had fought 6 months to get fixed were finally working. And the intercom, when asked nicely, could sing, "Hands where I can see them." Sergeant Cole's voice split the air neat and cold. Officer Benton fanned left, palm grazing his taser like a habit, eyes already scanning for the nearest phone to intimidate. A freshman skidded to a stop, sneakers squealing. "Faculty or not," Benton announced, louder than necessary, "you do not ignore commands." Amara set the quizzes on the radiator. "This is a school," she said level, unhurried. "Lower your voice." "You are scaring children." Cole's smirk barely moved his face. "People like you always know your rights." He eyed her tote. "Let us start with that bag." He did not wait for permission. The zipper's rasp sounded like a match. Out came papers, planner, a soft-spined Baldwin, a pencil pouch, and a slim grey case that Benton lifted with a magician's flourish. "Look here," Benton said. "A drive, unauthorized. Looks like we found your little side business." "Careful," Amara answered, steady as a metronome. "That device is school property. Touch it again without a warrant, and you will have created a bigger problem than the one you brought in with you." The hallway thickened with bodies. Phones rose. Red record dots blinked like a field of tiny eyes. Cole could feel narrative slipping, so he did what men like him do when the script wobbles. He reached for the wrist that had never once trembled in front of a class, wrenched it back and closed a cuff until it bit bone. Gasps stung the air. Near the trophy case, a girl whispered, "Ms. Hayes." And the last syllable cracked like a knuckle. Amara did not flinch. She lifted her chin the way she teaches at the podium, "Do not give your opponent your breath," and said, "Calm enough to cut glass." "Mr. Jenkins?" "Play it." A click in the ceiling. The school-wide speaker cleared its throat. Then a voice you are not supposed to hear in stereo poured like oil across tile. Tinny, recorded male. "No, keep the lot sweeps." Same tow company, same cut. "The school renews SRO if citations spike. Just make sure PTA never sees the ledger." Everything stopped. A football fell and kept on bouncing, lonely. Even Benton forgot his swagger and glanced toward the ceiling like the ceiling would apologize. "Volume to 7, Amara said. "Then Thursday," Tinny, recorded female. "Envelope Friday. I do not care if they are parents or staff. Tickets are tickets. You want renewal, you feed numbers." Murmurs rippled like wind under a door. SRO, renewal, envelopes. The words caromed off cinderblock and landed on phones that were already streaming. "Turn it off." Cole barked, voice going up half a stair. "Shut it down or I swear—" "You swear what?" Amara asked, and the softness of it sounded like a wire tightening. "On the oath you signed before you turned a school lot into a trap for black parents at pickup?" "Cuff her," Benton rasped, but the command had lost its grammar. It hung in the air and sagged. "Children," Amara said, teacher voice sliding over panic like a hand on a horse's neck. It walked to homeroom, quietly. "You are safe." And somehow, because she had never lied to them, they believed her and obeyed. Cole leaned in close enough to smell chalk and mint. "Who are you exactly?" "I'm the reason your phone will buzz in 3. 3 devices lit at once. Cole's, Benton's, the SRO down by the double doors who had been very, very still. The banner matched on all 3. D-investigations, hold position. "Mr. Jenkins," Amara said, "send boardroom feed to admin, Jim, and the district live stream. Parents deserve the truth while it is still warm." "Already sent, Mrs. Hayes," the office replied, thin over PA, thrumming with adrenaline. "And Channel 7 is online too," Cole's jaw clenched. "You are under arrest for what?" "Precise. For exposing your kickback scheme? For refusing to let you plant a drive you carried in? For being a teacher who recorded a confession?" "Recording officers is a violation." "No," she said. "Not in this state." Not in a public hallway. Not when corruption is the subject. Beat. Sergeant, the next sentence you say will be played back to a jury. Choose well. He did not get to choose. The double doors blew open, and a woman in a navy blazer moved like weather. Sergeant Cole, Officer Benton, step away from the teacher. Badge flashed. Rivera, District Attorney, Public Integrity. This is school business, Cole scoffed. Not when the discipline comes in envelopes, Rivera said. Weapons on the floor. Benton's bravado guttered. His Glock hit tile with a dull, grown-up sound. Cole's followed, slower, soft, aside. Thank you for being on time, Amara murmured. Rivera's eyes fell to the cuff marks on Amara's wrist, then lifted. Are you all right? I am. I would like the students to see what happens when grown men try to turn a school into a cash register. She tipped her head toward the doors. Boardroom? Rivera nodded. Boardroom. The district boardroom smelled like coffee that had boiled itself into a second life. Under fluorescent quiet, a dais of officials faced a wall of monitors that now played the hallway back like proof. Parents filled rows of metal chairs, arms folded, grief hot in the eyes. Custodians stood along the back, arms crossed. A cafeteria lady dabbed at her cheek with a napkin she had not meant to use that way. Amara stood at the lectern, cuffs gone, dignity wiped clean as ever. The mic hummed a little because she never rushed it. Good morning, she said, measured, clear. I am Ms. Hayes. I teach your children the Bill of Rights so the world does not grind them down. 3 months ago, I began getting emails. Tickets at pickup. Tow trucks circling like buzzards. Confusing cones that moved between 5th and 6th period. She nodded to the AV cart. Mr. Jenkins. The screen filled with columns, dates, plate numbers, citation codes, tow times. No red string. No breathless arrows. Just a slope that climbed exactly when a memo was signed. Our precinct entered a performance clause with the SRO contract, Amara continued. 2 days later, a private tow company began sharing revenue with officers through a Friday envelope. Here is the ledger photograph. The second slide appeared. Lined paper, careful cursive, initials that pretended to be harmless. Yummy's ball. The same weeks our black parents were stopped twice as often, towed 3 times as quickly. A father in work-marked boots stared down at his hands. A mother in a nurse's fleece hissed air through her teeth. I asked questions, Amara said. I was told by Sergeant Cole to stick to grading. I called the DA instead. Rivera took a second mic. The recordings were obtained lawfully. Evidence collected under warrant. The charges we are preparing include conspiracy, extortion under color of law, and civil rights violations. Warrants have been served on the tow company and the precinct captain. Cole laughed, without mirth. She hates police. I respect law, Amara answered, not blinking. I refuse to respect thieves in uniforms. A hand shot up in the second row, fingers trembling. The PTA president stood. I paid $300 to get my Camry back Friday, she said. I missed my son's game. Officer, she looked straight at Cole, you laughed at me on the phone. The board chair shuffled papers as if pages could save him. We will recess. No, sir, Rivera said. This is not recess. This is daylight, phones buzzed again. Rivera glanced. Tow owner in custody. Precinct administrator, too. Benton's whisper fell out of him, thin. We were following orders. Whose orders? Rivera asked. Benton looked at Cole. Cole studied the wood grain like it hid a door. Captain said the district loves clean lots, Benton muttered. Said nobody cares. The district cares, Amara said softly. Parents always care. Watch, she nodded to Jenkins. The last clip rolled. Not officers, a kid. In tremble under courage, tinny student. They told me to stop walking through the lot after band. Said I fit a description. I had a clarinet case. I was wearing my uniform. Ms. Hayes told me to get badge numbers. I called her. She answered. The room tilted. You could feel it physically, gravity changing hands. Effective immediately, the board chair said. Voice finally finding backbone at the very bottom. The district suspends our SRO contract pending a third-party audit. Applause rumbled, relief more than celebration. The DA will open a hotline for refunds and complaints, Rivera added. Any citation tied to this scheme will be dismissed. We will seek restitution, Cole exhaled like a tire dying. Rivera turned to him. Sergeant, downtown, now. He stared hard at the tabletop, jaw muscles bunched. Lawyer, call one, Rivera said. You will need two. News does not so much travel as detonate. By sunset, the precinct's Facebook page posted an apology written by a committee of cowards. Practices inconsistent with our values. The tow yard's windows wore butcher paper by dawn. The captain retired to be with family, tailed by two boxy sedans whose drivers wore the kind of haircuts that do not tell jokes. At Jefferson, the hallway where it had happened took on a second life. Kids would slow there, palm the cinder block like a marker tree. Teachers rerouted lesson plans. Evidence, they wrote on the board. Record, report, remedies. The word remedies tasted different now, stronger, less like a chapter title, more like a tool. Amara's wrist bruise faded to a soft half-moon. Her students watched it heal and learned the lesson no textbook writes. You can move away from pain and still steer by it. Ms. Hayes? Malik asked, big shoulders, point guard voice gone small. Were you scared? Yedam, she said. You must not lie to children. It teaches them to lie to themselves. I was. So why did you do it? Because I refuse to teach the Constitution like it lives in a glass case, she said. It lives in your mouth. It lives in your feet. It lives in your phone when you press record. He nodded. The room breathed. Okay, Amara clapped once, bright. Storyboard day. If you were telling this story to someone who does not believe you, what do you show first? The ledger? The audio? The faces? A girl in the back, quiet all year, raised her hand. I would start with the sound the cuffs made, she said, because I hear it when I try to sleep. Then that is where we start, Amara said, voice warm. 2 weeks later, Investigation Room B, DA's office. The room was painted government sincere. Recorder on the table. Water bottle sweating. Sergeant Cole sat stiff, suit borrowed, jaw angry. His attorney, Mr. Phelps, had a pen that clicked like a nervous metronome. Rivera pressed record. Interview begins. Sergeant, you understand you are under oath. Counsel is present, I do. Who created the Friday envelopes? Captain Ross? What did they contain? Cash, he swallowed. From the tow yard owner. For what? For keeping the citations. Healthy. Define healthy. Cole stared at the wall clock, as if time might testify on his behalf. High enough to renew SRO and keep the yard happy. Why target pickup? Predictable. Quick, people will pay to get home. Why the disparity? Rivera asked, voice flat, scalpel thin. Why are black families 3 times more likely to be towed? He hesitated. The lawyer's pen clicked twice. Cole shifted. Because they were more likely to. Park wrong. Rivera slid a photo across the table. 2 cars in the same illegal spot on 2 different days. One ticketed, towed. One waved on with a smile. Which one parked wrong? Cole stared. Pen clicks. Air conditioning groaned. He said nothing. Who signed the internal memo that tied SRO renewal to enforcement metrics? Cole's eyes flicked. The superintendent. Rivera did not blink. That signature is a stamp. Who pushed that clause into the contract? Cole's shoulders sagged. Captain. He said the district would be grateful. He licked his lip. He said the board chair likes numbers. Thank you, Rivera said. You may wait with the marshal. The door sighed shut. Rivera sat alone for a moment and let the quiet balance. Then she stood and walked to the glass where Amara waited with a paper cup of bad coffee. He flipped? Amara asked. He pointed, Rivera said. We still need documents to make it sing. You will get them, Amara said. This building is full of teachers. We live to grade papers. Rivera laughed in spite of herself. Stay a teacher, she said. I will, Amara answered. But give me your number anyway. Town hall night, gymnasium reimagined, 100 folding chairs. 100 paper programs that smelled like toner and hope. On the stage, a banner, community hearing, parking enforcement practices. The board sat in a line, faces newly careful. Rivera's team flanked the aisle. Press lights turned ordinary faces into theater. A microphone stood on the floor for public comment. People lined up, patience and anger braided tight. A grandmother in scrubs spoke first. I got off a double. I came to get my granddaughter. You took my car, she said to no one and everyone. I walked her home 3 miles. Do you know what my legs felt like? Do you know what my heart felt like when she asked me if we did something wrong? A barber in a crisp apron stepped up. You called the tow on me and then came to my shop for a discount, he said. The room murmured. You smiled in my chair while my wife cried on the curb. A senior from band rested his clarinet case on his shoe. You told me I fit a description, he said softly. I described myself to you. Honors section lead, late because rehearsal ran over. You heard none of it. They spoke for 2 hours. The gym was a lung. It inhaled testimony and exhaled a new kind of civic oxygen. The superintendent tried to interrupt once. The room did not let him. At the end, the board chair stood, face the color of chalk. We will cancel the SRO contract, he said. We will hire independent security trained by educators. We will rewrite towing policy with community council. He looked at Amara and then looked down at his hands. And I will resign. No one cheered. They did not need to. Some victories are not loud. They are clean. 3 months later, the audit and the aftermath. The independent audit arrived like a sunbeam through a bad blind. It was not dramatic. It was devastating. It named names without adjectives, dates without excuses, signatures without euphemism. It traced a culture, memos that dressed quotas up as community compliance, emails that wrote, just move the cones. It recommended repairs, not band-aids. Repairs were done, body cams that cannot accidentally go dark on campus. Signs anchored in concrete, not memory. A 45-minute grace window at dismissal, written into ordinance. An oversight committee with more mothers than lawyers. Meetings at 6 p.m. with childcare and coffee. A restitution fund seeded from seized assets. Free clinic days at the tow yard for anyone whose wages were eaten by policy. The captain took a plea. The tow owner sang all 4 verses. 2 clerks found new lives in buildings where doors lock from the outside. Cole stood in court, stripped of badge, and heard his name become case law. The judge read restitution as if numbers could apologize. They cannot. They can start. Rivera called Amara. The morning sentencing dropped. We are standing up a public integrity schools unit, she said. Design the training. We will pay you. Keep teaching, but help us make sure no hallway needs to become a courtroom again, Amara laughed. I already have a badge that opens the library, she said. But I will take your budget. Done, Rivera said, back at Jefferson, ordinary miracles. The plaque went up above the trophy case on a soft Wednesday. Brass, 4 screws, black letters that do not shout. In this hall, a teacher taught a city what civics means. Evidence spoke. Children watched. Justice listened. Kids touched it on the way to algebra. Some took selfies. One boy, quiet, clarinet case balanced just so, stood long enough to decide something new about his life. In room 214, Amara opened a unit called Power Recorded. The first slide was not a law. It was a sentence. What would you want played back if the whole town was listening? Hands went up like a field. Begin with breath, she told them. Do not let fear take it. At lunch, 2 freshmen approached, stiff with ceremonial purpose. Ms. Hayes, the taller said, we want to start a students' rights club. We will need an advisor. You will need a room, she said, smiling. 214 is open at 3:30. In the hallway, the SRO desk sat empty. In its place, a comfortable chair, a rack of coats for kids who forgot winter, a basket of granola bars. Someone had written a small sign in neat marker. Need help? Ask a grown-up. The arrow pointed at the office, at counseling, at room 214. The civil case, depositions as theatre. Lawyers do not always tell stories well. Parents do. In deposition, the tow owner stared at his hands. It was always business, he said. Then it got easy. He looked up finally. Easy is where rot starts. The captain tried to sound like policy. He sounded like rust. Metrics drive renewal, he said. Renewal protects safety. Whose safety? The plaintiff's counsel asked. He had no noun big enough to hide behind. The settlement number arrived under seal and then leaked, the way numbers do that want light. The fund cut checks. Late fees died. State law got a new paragraph named after a school. A small scene, press conference on the steps, cameras, microphones with station flags. The superintendent stepped to the podium first, words careful, apologies rehearsed, contrition shaped by lawyers. Then Rivera precise. Then the board's new chair, a former math teacher who still wore sensible shoes. "Ms. Hayes," a reporter called. "Will you speak?" Imara did not love microphones outside room 214, but she walked forward anyway, because some example is bigger than preference. "I am a teacher," she said into the crowd that was half cameras, half parents, half kids who just wanted to see something true. "I teach civics because it stops being a class and starts being air when someone abuses power. Please understand something. I did not defeat a department. We, parents, students, a prosecutor who did her job, changed a policy. That is not vengeance. That is repair. A second reporter tried the gotcha. Do you hate police? I love law," she said. "I dislike liars. What would you say to families who are still afraid?" "Record," she answered. "Organize. Ask where the money goes. Ask why the cones move. Ask for receipts. And when the system tells you to be quiet, bring it a microphone." She stepped back. That was enough. The winter concert, healing in 4/4 time. In December, the band played their winter program under paper snowflakes and a banner that said, "Joy without irony." The clarinets were sweet. The trumpets remembered to lift. The percussion did not speed up much. Between selections, the director tapped the mic. "We dedicate this next piece to Ms. Hayes," he said, "for teaching us another kind of tempo." They played Lift Every Voice and Sing, not as a novelty but as a prayer, and the gym hummed with a kind of standing breath. Amara wiped her cheek and looked down at her wrist where the half-moon had faded back into plain skin. She touched it anyway, a habit more than a memory. Rivera leaned over from the next seat. "You okay?" "I'm good," Amara said. "I'm listening." 6 months later, a classroom quieter than most. A camera crew sat along the wall, documentary students from the community college doing a segment on civics where you live. They asked Amara to read the plaque copy into their lens. She refused. She asked the kids to write their own. A girl in a hoodie, hair in a scarf, the color of insistence, read first. "Power is loud until it is recorded. Then it stutters," she said. The crew looked at each other and wrote that down. A boy who had failed last year and passed this one read second. "Justice is paperwork," he said. And somebody who does not get bored, a third read last. "What justice sounds like," he said, "is a teacher saying play it." And then he sat. And no one clapped because some sentences do not need applause. After school, when the building was mostly empty and the light made long shapes, Amara walked the hall one more time. She stopped where the cuffs had clicked and listened, not for footsteps, but for the silence lies leave when they go. Whisper. If you are watching this and your throat went tight when the metal closed, remember, fear is not the end of your voice. It is the beginning of its color. Press record. Ask for names. Read your policies like you wrote them. Teach one other person how to stand beside you while you do it. Beat, stronger. Share this if you have ever watched power try to humiliate someone who refused to bow. Comment if you were ticketed, towed, or targeted for standing in the wrong place while being the right person. Subscribe if you want stories where the twist is not revenge, it is reform. Where the hero is not a superhero, it is a teacher with a thermos, a stack of quizzes, and a plan. Because sometimes justice does not wear a robe. Sometimes she wears a lanyard and comfortable shoes. Sometimes she carries chalk dust on her sleeve and a microphone in her tote. And sometimes, when the bell rings and the hallway fills, she clears her throat, presses play, and lets a whole city hear itself.